What's up, everybody? This is Bruce, aka Geektacular, and today I've got another unboxing for you. Today I'm going to be unboxing a book titled Playing with Superpower Super NES Classics. So this is a kind of commemorative book slash guide that came out from Prima Games, along with the SNES Classic console. So that's the HDMI capable sort of mini version of the Super Nintendo that Nintendo just released recently. And the NES Classic also had a book by Prima, which I'm also going to be hoping to pick up in the near future, so I can do an unboxing of that as well. Because I kind of didn't get that when it first came out, and then afterwards I sort of was regretting it because it looked pretty cool. So I went ahead and picked up the new one that came out with the Super Nintendo Classic Mini system as well. So to show you it up front, there are no stickers or anything when you get it. This is the collector's edition version. So both the NES Classic book and the Super Nintendo one come in two varieties. They come in basically a paperback, just standard book that's a little bit cheaper. I think that one's maybe like $20 or something like that. And this one is closer to $30, but it is a hardcover book that has kind of a different outer design and comes with a slipcover. So this is the collector's edition one. So this is the hardcover. So just keep that in mind as we're going through here. So there's no stickers or anything on the outside. It comes shrink wrapped. And it has this paper insert in here, which I'll show you here in a second. But let's go ahead and take off the plastic wrap. And then from here, we can sort of take a look at the outer packaging, and then finally take a look inside and hopefully get a good peek at the contents as well. Book unboxings are kind of hard sometimes because you don't really want to give away the entire book. You kind of want to leave some surprise, but you also want to show people enough that you know if you want to buy it or not. So it's kind of a tightrope to walk there. So let me go ahead and show you the cover. So this is the outer box. The outer part is not super hard. It's kind of flexible. It's a little bit thicker than a slipcover on like a Blu-ray or a DVD or something. So the outer part is not hard. The book itself is hard. And it's kind of matte printed here. So as you can see, it's basically stylized like a Super Nintendo game box. So with the Super Nintendo there, and then sort of that logo on the corner. It's kind of oriented two ways, so you can kind of look at it like that, which would be kind of if you're looking at it like a box, and it makes sense if you look at it like this. So this image part right here is glossy, so as you can see, it's got a few scratches and stuff on it, but that's okay. But yeah, if you look at it like this, the image itself is glossy, and then the rest of it's kind of like that rubberized matte texture, and then where it says Playing with Superpower, all of that is glossy as well. So it's basically got glossy accents, and the rest of it is kind of that rubbery matte material. So here is that spine. The other spine is very similar. Top, just black. Back, nothing much to see. The Super Nintendo logo here is actually glossy as well, so as you can see when I run the light over it there. So that's pretty cool. The rest of it's just that flat black. With the Nintendo seal of quality, of course. You can't miss that. That's how you know that it's Nintendo approved. So this particular book is kind of weird because it comes out of the bottom instead of out of the side. So that's kind of inconvenient when you have it on a shelf. If you're planning to keep it on a shelf, you kind of got to pull it out and then take it out of the bottom. So just be careful when you're pulling this out of a shelf that it doesn't fall out of the bottom. So here is sort of the back the back panel that it's not even held on with any adhesive or anything. So it's got a bunch of info, as you can see here. It's kind of glossy, so it's kind of hard for the camera to pick it up. It says it retails for $45, but you can get it on Amazon for like $30. And it actually does come with a free electronic version of the guide. And I know that the code is here, but I will have already have used it by the time I post this. So don't bother, but feel free to try if you want. So let me just put that off to the side. Let's take a look at the book. Dun, 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 dun. It's actually pretty big. It's a pretty hefty book. It's pretty heavy. I'll put this over here. All right, so again, this part, the label part, is glossy purple, and the rest of this is that rubbery matte texture, and this is actually hardcover. And then the ridges, so it's made to look like a Super Nintendo cartridge. The ridges and the bolts here, the screws, they are actually kind of embossed. So you can kind of see it, when I run my fingers over it. All these lines are actually like embossed in the book. This is too a little bit. It's exaggerated, so it's not as deep as it looks. They kind of shade it like that, but you can feel a little ridge right there, which is pretty cool. So I just think it's awesome that it looks like a freaking Super Nintendo cartridge. That's so cool. And for those of you who don't know, I'm actually a really big retro game fan. I actually have a retro gaming setup in my basement here at home that has an NES, an SNES, N64, GameCube, Master System, Sega Genesis, 32X CD, PS2, Xbox 360, whole bunch of stuff, Dreamcast, Saturn, all plugged in, ready to use with lots of games for them. So I can vouch that this indeed looks like a giant SNES cartridge. So let's just go ahead and take kind of a quick peek inside. So this first part here is mostly about sort of the history and design of the system. But as you can see, they put screenshots, character art, sprites, all kinds of stuff all throughout here, including kind of rare prototype drawings, schematics, things like that. And also in this book, there's a lot of stuff that they pulled from previous, like past magazines. So like, for example, these are pages that basically scans of pages from issue 29 of Nintendo Power. So they have a lot of screenshots, info, page scans from Nintendo Power as well, from around the time period where this was coming out. And then it actually gets into specific games. So that's where this section starts. So the first 24 pages are like history, design, that sort of stuff. And then you go into the games. And this has info about a lot of the different games that are included on the SNES Classic, the SNES Mini console that they just released. And this only has information about the Nintendo first-party games. So there are non-Nintendo games on the SNES Classic console, but those aren't covered here. The Prima guides only talk about the first-party Nintendo games. But in theory, there should be a section on Star Fox 2, which would be the first time that there's any kind of guide or really any info printed about that game, other than sort of the speculative preview that ran years ago in Nintendo Power, and then the ROM extract that somebody found a lot later. So this gives you all kinds of tips and hints. F-Zero, Zelda, where to find stuff, the history of the franchise. It even has pages like this that have like sprite photos. This is the rival order for the different characters in Super Mario Kart. Just tons of stuff. And yeah, it does actually, shockingly and awesomely, have a section all about Star Fox 2. So this would be kind of the first official info, or first official guide that's been printed about it. And I'm wondering if they have the scans. Yeah, they do. So this is actually a scan of sort of the only known info about the game back in the day, which was this one page of Nintendo Power where they previewed it because it was going to come out at some point, but it just ended up never coming out until 2017. So you do get a nice guide for that. Just tons of artwork, tons of info, tips, Nintendo Power scans. That's pretty much what you can expect from this book. I'll just kind of flip through it. You got Kirby, Yoshi's Island. And then this last section here is called Super Fans. And I don't know what's in this section. Let's see. Oh, I guess this is like fan art. And then interviews with people who make the art. So this is about Video Games Live, who play live covers of video game songs and stuff like that. So yeah, these are basically just a bunch of different sorts of artists who are Nintendo fans. And it interviews them and all kinds of stuff like that. I think there might be some developer interviews in here as well. So very cool. And then at the very end of the book here, you have notes from the author. And then some more pictures at the end there and some more schematics. So yeah, that's basically the whole book. I think this would be really good if you're just a big Super Nintendo fan. It's only $30 for the collector's edition. It's not that much. Given there's probably nothing in here you couldn't find online if you really wanted to. But even just having this giant thing that looks like an SNES cartridge is a really cool conversation piece, I think. And even though most of it is sort of guide info that you could probably find on GameFAQs or something like that, it does have some cool sort of exclusive design documents, things like that. And it's kind of just an overall celebration of the system. So, you know, if that's something that, if you really like this system, if you're into it, or if you just kind of want it to go along with your Super Nintendo Classic mini console, I think that would be, that would be a good choice as well. So I don't think you can go wrong at that price point. I don't know if I would pay. If you're really into Super Nintendo, you can maybe pay the retail $45 for it, but that seems a little bit steep. But at $30, I would definitely say go ahead and pick it up, and if nothing else, maybe it will eventually go up in price if they stop printing them at some point or something like that, because Nintendo stuff appreciates pretty well in the retro gaming world. So yeah, thanks a lot for watching this. If you like this unboxing, go ahead and give me a thumbs up down below. That would be awesome. If you like these kinds of unboxings, if you like book unboxings, video game unboxings, movies, if you like sci-fi, anime, collectibles, anything like that, go ahead and click subscribe down below. And also be sure to hit that notification bell down below, so that way you won't miss any of my future content. So thanks a lot for watching, everyone, and I'll catch you next time.